In this video, we're going to talk about a recent scam attempt. Someone tried to get me, and we're going to talk about what you should look out for so you don't get scammed too. Stay tuned.
Bry's Comics.
You guys, I have a very exciting new exclusive dropping next week, Monday, April 18th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I can't show you the cover yet, but if you have liked any of my exclusives so far, it's a freaking banger. I mean, it is really good. I'm dying to show it to you, but I can't show you the cover yet. It's by Zoo Orzu, and I'll drop the title and the exclusive and everything Monday, April 18th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I'm also going to be dropping free comic book day stuff, and I'm adding a whole bunch of new free comic book day stuff this year of valuable stuff, so you're not going to want to miss it. Make sure you tune in Monday, April 18th at 12 p.m. Pacific time right here on my YouTube, and I'm going to blast it on the email and the social media and Instagram and everything. Ooh, just wait, you're gonna love it. Welcome to Bry's Comics. On this channel, we talk about everything comic book related with an emphasis on having this hobby fund itself. But we also do just general videos about comic book collecting knowledge. And one of the things that seems to be really important lately is scams. Before we hop into it, we always do a monthly giveaway on this channel as well. This month, we're giving away Moon Knight #1, a CGC 8.0 white page newsstand copy. And if you head over to bryscomics.com and sign up for the newsletter, you're entered to win a free slab every single month. And this month is Fantastic Four #21, the first appearance of Hate Monger, 3.5 CGC. All you have to do is sign up for the newsletter to be entered to win that one. And for everyone who's already picked up some books from that new 40K collection that I just bought, thank you so much. They've been flying off the shelf. If you haven't seen that video, you can go check that out. Everything is priced to move. I'm not keeping anything to crack and press. I'm just moving books. I have everything really reasonably priced. And I also have a make offer button that has recently been added to the website. Lowball offers are just going to be ignored, but you know, I am ready and willing to make a deal if you see something. If you want to make an offer on multiple items, just make an offer on all of the different items, and then I can go in and treat it all as one order. So I want to talk about this scam. We're going to talk about exactly what went down, and then we're going to talk about what you need to look for when buying old CGC label cases. So for those of you that follow the channel, you know that I recently picked up Tales to Astonish 27. I got a 6.0 pence copy, but that wasn't the first copy that I actually purchased. I actually purchased a 5.0 cents copy before that because I would have been happy with a 5.0 as well. 5.0 or 6.0 seemed to be the sweet spot, but I thought if I can get a 5.0 for a couple $1,000s less, they present virtually identically. I mean, a 5.0 and 6.0 look very similar. I would have been happy with that because it was for the personal collection. But when you get to a 6.5 or a 7.0 is where the price really jumps for that book and for a lot of really rare old books because they get so hard to find in high grade. But 5.0, 6.0 was a sweet spot. I thought if I can get a 5.0 for a couple thousand less than a 6.0, I'd be totally happy with that. So I couldn't find a 5.0 anywhere in the States. They were all listed just a couple $1,000s too high. And then I found this 5.0 from an international seller in Italy, and it was listed at the exact last GPA sale. And nothing about the listing seemed too fishy. The guy had 100% positive feedback. I asked for more pictures. He sent me more pictures, and I was ready to pull the trigger. And I said, well, what about customs? How's this going to be shipped? And he said, I don't know. It's totally understandable. I mean, with customs, it's completely out of your hands. As a seller, you just ship it, and customs does whatever customs does, and it's different for different countries. And I couldn't figure out what the customs duties were going to be for this book. This book didn't qualify for the eBay Global Shipping Program because not all countries are included in the eBay Global Shipping Program, and Italy is one that they do not service. So the seller would have to buy the label and ship it himself. So I tried to figure out, what am I going to have to pay for customs? It turned out to be really hard to figure out. I couldn't find a solid answer anywhere. It depends on tons of different factors. The information I was getting is it could be no fee all the way up to 20%. And I sat with it for a while. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to just pull the trigger. Even if I have to pay the 20% more, it's the only copy that I can find. It would still be cheaper than the ones available in the States. I'm just going to roll the dice. I'm protected by eBay. If anything goes wrong, I have the eBay buyer protection. So I buy the book. He sends the book. To my astonishment, it's here in 3 days. It slips right past customs. No customs duties due at all. So I'm really happy. And I open the book and I look at it and go, oh no, something does not seem right about this book. It's an old label case. I already knew that, but I'm examining it and I'm like, this book looks like it's been trimmed. And as you can see in the pictures, the cover doesn't line up perfectly with the pages. I knew this when I bought it, but there's several different reasons why that can happen. You can't really tell from pictures about trimming. Sometimes trimming is really hard to detect. So I knew that this was the case. I thought maybe there was a spine wrap. I saw some other pressable defects with the book, so I was planning on possibly cracking it out anyways. And sometimes with like a spine roll or a bindery issue, the pages can't line up, and maybe that could have been improved. But I was just, I felt good enough about it to buy it and inspect it in hand. So I'm inspecting it in hand. I get the magnifying glass out. I'm measuring the cover, and then I noticed some things that I just determined with 100% certainty this book has been trimmed, because the cover and the tanning from the pages on the cover to the interior pages don't match up. So like it was trimmed years later, and the same kind of wear didn't apply to the interior pages as it did to the cover. Just clear as day that this book was trimmed somewhere later on in the process. And so I inspect the case a little bit further, and I see a little bit of glue residue. I mean, a tiny bit of glue residue. And it dawns on me, this is a fake. This case had been cracked open, and a different book had been slipped in and then glued back together. And so I messaged the seller and I said, hey, this book is trimmed. It is not the book that lines up with the label. This case has been cracked open. Here are pictures of, showing that the case has been tampered with. And I was expecting him to, come back. I was expecting, a big fight and having to get eBay involved. And to my surprise, he said he accepted the return, and he said, I am so sorry, please send the book back. And I'm like, what? Like, why did he just lay down and accept my return request? I mean, I thought for sure this was going to be a big fight. And so I asked him, I sent the book back, and I asked him, I said, did you know it was trimmed? And he said, no, it's not trimmed. I bought it from a comic shop in the US, and he sent me the certification number. And I'm like, yeah, I'm very aware of the certification number. That certification number does not line up with this book. This book has been switched out. It's a fake. Whether you did it or you got scammed as well, I don't know, but it's definitely not a legitimate 5.0. It's been trimmed. And about the certification number, when I went and checked the certification number, it's a 5.0 with no notes. So CGC graded and encapsulated the original, whichever one it was, and put no notes for a 5.0. So there was no way for me to compare the notes with the book. Like usually the notes might say, large crease front right cover, and I could see if it even had that, right? Because 5.0 could have many different things, but there's no notes, so there's no way to verify which one it is. So I send the book back. It gets stuck in customs. And after, a week and a half, and the seller's like, hey, I can't give you a refund until I get the book back. And after like a week and a half, I contacted eBay and I said, is there anything that can be done? It's just stuck in customs. This book was a fraud. And they said, well, let us call UPS and see what's going on. So they called UPS, and he put me on hold, and he came right back on, and he said, so it turns out that the seller is not providing the information needed to UPS, and that's why they can't deliver the book. We're going to go ahead and give you a refund and close this case. I said, great, perfect. And so they give me a full refund. So that's really the story in a nutshell. Is I bought the book, turned out to be a fraud. I requested a return. He accepted it, got stuck in customs. eBay closed the case, gave me a full refund. There's a little bit more detail than that. He started messaging me after I got the refund. He's like, hey, what's the deal with the book? I can't give you a refund until I get the book. So apparently he hasn't been charged yet or something like that. And I said, listen, at this point, all communication goes through eBay. Stop messaging me. You've already wasted enough of my time. Like, take everything up with eBay. And he was like, fine. So interestingly enough, like a day after that, I get a notification that the package has been delivered. So he provided the necessary information that he just wasn't providing. And so I thought maybe that was his angle all along, is try to get away with just selling it to me. And if I do return it, don't accept the package or something, and try to scam it that way. But it just didn't work out for him. He got, it was a big hassle for him. He had to pay a bunch of extra fees and costs associated with it. And I really do think that he knew full well about this, and that, he was trying to scam me. I don't believe that he was scammed. just from the overall feeling that I get from the situation. So if you see this book, a 5.0, because I had to send it back to him, if you see it listed, it is definitely a fraud. Do not buy it, report it. I'm going to be keeping an eye out on it and trying to figure out if there's, anything else I can do to prevent this from happening to somebody else. But now I want to jump into what to look for in these old label cases and how to spot a possible fraud and what exactly happened with this situation. So one of two things happened with this. One, he either bought a 5.0 blue label, cracked it out, put the restored copy in there and glued it shut, or he bought a restored label, cracked it out, and printed a fake label and put the fake label in there. One of those two things. So the labels for CGC are not tamper evident. Like the labels are not encrypted. They're not security enhanced in any way. Anyone, with enough wherewithal could figure out how to print a CGC label. There's no security features on it. So that's something to keep in mind. You can try to look, there might be like a watermark or something, but it's nothing that can't be recreated by the easiest of fraud scammers out there. And the second thing is these old CGC cases, right? Originally, the first CGC cases actually said on the back label that the cases were designed to be opened in case you wanted to open it, but it would void the certification. So in the very first ones, they were actually designed to be opened, and then they changed it to where they were designed to not be opened. They just completely flip-flopped on that with CGC because they realized, the security issues that were with these old cases. That's why they switched away from them. After the first generation one, they're really easy to open sometimes. Sometimes when you go to open one, because I've cracked a lot of cases to press and resubmit to CGC, sometimes when you open them, the whole thing falls apart, it shatters into a bunch of different pieces, and there's absolutely no way you can put it back together. That's happened to me the majority of the times. But then one time, I was like, well, let's see if I just try to gently open it and see what happens. And one time, it popped right open. It would have been so easy to just put a little bit of glue and seal it back up. But it's something that I want you all to be aware of is the glue. If you get an old label case, especially for a high dollar book, make sure that it hasn't been glued, and also make sure that it just lines up. Check for restoration. Make sure, like, if you bought a 5.0 and it looks like a 3.0, then you really need to examine it with more scrutiny. A lot of times with books, like with the second Tales to Astonish that I purchased, it had grader's notes. I checked the grader's notes and they all lined up perfectly, right? So it was an old label case, and I thought, I just want to check the grader's notes, make sure it looks, the same. It has a stamp on it. It has a piece out here, a crease there. It's all listed in the grader's notes. So I know for sure that book is okay. So checking the grader's notes is an important thing as well with these old label books, because you can believe that I went back on all of my old label stuff and I was examining it like, holy crap, I hope I didn't get scammed on some of these other ones and didn't even know about it. And, at the end of the day, if you buy a 6.0, it looks like a 6.0, you're probably fine. And this is not something that happens across the board. It's not like this entirely pervasive problem. This is the first time that it's actually happened to me. And it's the first time that I've actually even heard about this definitively, like this happening. So I'm sure it's happened before, but I don't want you to go out there and think that everything is a scam, that every case has been tampered with, especially if it's like a book that has no business being scammed. I mean, I over the course of the past couple years, just selling on eBay and stuff, I've been accused of sending out fraudulent cases for Last Ronins or $50 spec books. Like, there's no way this is real. It's like, nobody is trying to scam you for a Last Ronin book, a $100 book, a $50 book. Nobody is going to go through the trouble to put a 9.8 Last Ronin in a different case. It's just ridiculous. And so I just don't want people to just go off the deep end and say, everything's been tampered with. Also, the new cases are incredibly difficult to open. It gives me anxiety every time I decide to crack a book in a new case. It's a process. It's hard. They are always shattered in pieces. I've never been able to open one of these new cases with ease. It's always been a complete struggle. unless they forgot to seal the case. Now, here's one thing about the new cases for CGC, and I've seen this several times. It happened to me once. And again, we're talking about like 1 in 10,000, right? This does not happen often. Don't go out there and think that this is like a huge problem that we should just abandon CGC because of this. But you should know about it. I've seen one other person post it about it, and it's happened to me once. And that's where they send a book graded in the new case, but it's not sealed. Like it just was a mechanical error. It just missed that step in the process, and it's just completely unsealed. And you could open it, put whatever you want in there, and glue it back together. So just look for glue, but know that it's kind of a waste of time. It's so rare for that to happen with these new cases that you almost don't have to do it. And they certainly aren't going to do it for a $100 book, a $200 book, even probably a $500 book. They wouldn't go through the trouble to do that. Okay, so I just wanted to put this out there so that you guys are thinking about scams, because anytime, unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in. Anytime there's an opportunity for someone to take advantage of the system, they're going to. Anytime there's an opportunity for someone to make profit unethically, it's going to happen to a certain degree. And it does happen in this community. It pains me to say it, but it does happen. And so it's something that you should be aware of. All in all, it was a stressful process, but I knew going into it, making this purchase, that eBay Buyer Protection had my back, and they did a great job. I've got a lot of awesome stuff planned for the channel. I'm working on processing all the raw books from that 40K collection. That video will be coming soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment on this video, and like this video for your chance to win Moon Knight #1, a CGC 8.0, and head over to bricecomics.com and sign up for the newsletter for your chance to win another free slab every month. This month is Fantastic Four 21. I have some other exciting announcements coming soon, some really, really awesome projects with other people in the community that are coming soon, so stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for sticking with me to the end of the video, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bry's Comics.